Hey everybody, what's up? I hope everybody's doing well, everybody who tunes in. I hope everybody's having like a great new year, and I don't want to, set any butterflies off in anybody's stomach because I know this new year has been anything but great for a lot of people. And I just wanted to come over here and talk about some of the eclipse energy that we've been experiencing and how that's going to affect us. So I believe I did a video, and if I didn't, I apologize. And I do try to keep up with this stuff on this channel. But I believe I did a video about the new moon on January 5th and the subsequent partial solar eclipse that happened, and the energies that that was taking us into. So before even I'm gonna readdress that in a little bit, but it would be best if I start off with the solar eclipse that's coming. Excuse me, the lunar eclipse that's coming on January 20th, to explain why a lot of energies have been so intense and why everybody's been feeling like this sense of something big and epic is going to happen, and just a lot of nervous tension in general, and potentially a lot of psychic disturbances or psychic overload. So this coming eclipse, lunar eclipse specifically, is going to happen in the sign of Gemini. So I'm a sidereal astrologer. As you guys know, if you're rocking on my channel, you see me do a fucus videos all the time. So you know that I do I do 13 sign stuff. I do stuff that's geared around the other signs. So my signs is different. So a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, this new full moon is coming in the sign of Cancer," and Cancer rules the moon, so everybody's hyping it up as well. What may have you? I really don't keep up with 12 signs. I don't know what they're calling it, but I know it's never what it is for sidereal. So, what is the sidereal super blood moon in the solar eclipse mean for the sign of Gemini? How's that going to affect you? So, we are in a process of letting go of old communication patterns. So a lunar a full moon is about manifestation and release. Those are the two key words for a full moon because it's time where the energetic psychic energies are at their peak, but they're also a time of being able to empower ourselves to let certain things go that are no longer serving us, so that as the moon sets, we can release those things and by the new moon have completely gotten rid of them. So, in the sign of Gemini, Gemini is a dualistic sign, so it's neither masculine nor feminine, but both at the same time. So it's an androgynous energy. Um, Gemini speaks on communication. Gemini speaks on the local area we grew up around. Gemini rules the hands. Gemini rules the way that the social interactions we have with other people, how well we are in those fields. Gemini rules the way that the public perceives our communication patterns, or how we communicate with the public, how we communicate on a local level, the local travel areas, things like that. So, what is going to be happening with this full moon or this lunar eclipse that's going to take place? So, we're going to be letting go of certain things that happen around our local area, or certain events that happen in our local area. We may be suddenly moving, but not moving very far, like with Sagittarius, but we're just moving out of, or actually, yeah, moving out of the local area and moving somewhere further apart because the solar eclipse was in Sagittarius, so it could be the death of you living at home with your parents because the sign of Gemini is associated is right next to Cancer, so it's associated with home. It's associated with our siblings. It's associated with the people we communicate with. So if you're staying with your siblings right now, staying in the area that you've known from your childhood, or if you just have some of the same friends that you've had all your life, get ready for this lunar eclipse to push you to leave some of those things behind. So some of us who stay with our siblings won't be staying with them anymore. Some of us who have grown up our communication with our parents, the way we talk to them, this lunar eclipse is going to push us to want to have a more adult conversation with them. So no more you're the child and you just listen to what I have to say. More so now I contribute to how this household is run via bills and all this other stuff that I do. So I have a say in whether I have a girl or a boy over, or what I bring in the house and what I don't bring in the house. And yeah, maybe I don't have to smoke weed on the couch, but I'm gonna have weed in the house, or whatever it is that the thing that you do, and how you feel about company, all this other stuff. Those may be things that you're not so willing to compromise anymore with this full moon, because it's trying to push us to grow outside of those boundaries when it comes to the way that we communicate with people around us, because Gemini is all about communications. So some people are going to find that during this time that they find a new skill in how to use their hands in some way. They may be people who are skilled with craft that involves using their hand may find new skills or new ways of using those things. People who are involved with day to day like communication. So like even what I do. So like I get online and I talk about certain things, and that's more like Uranus, to be honest. But it does have a relationship to Gemini because it is still communication and is still interacting with other people. Um, so just basically be prepared to change some of those things, to change the way you talk to people, change the way that how many the friends that you have. You may be leaving certain people behind or certain relationships behind because they no longer fit you. Your relationship with your siblings may change a lot. Some of us may just those things may not be the same after this eclipse cycle. Now, how it ties into the solar eclipse is being in Sagittarius on the 5th. This is talking about new beginnings. As a result of leaving behind old communication patterns in Gemini, we now have new ways of expressing ourselves in Sagittarius, new truths that we want to communicate, new ways of being, new ideas about ourselves. Um, Travel. So we may take a trip, we may take a journey, we may do something that we've always wanted to do that has felt like it's delayed, delayed, delayed. Well, now we're finally getting the opportunity to take that journey around the world, or take that journey to a spiritual place, or take that, or make new steps in our religious beliefs as well. Um, this lunar eclipse will be squared by Mars in Pisces. So this is talking about following your intuition and that being your guideline during this eclipse. Eclipses are generally times where you don't want to make final decisions in general. However, now that the moon is square Mars, there's going to be a level of impatience. Gemini is a very childish sign, a sign that gets bored very easily, that gets very fickle. With the square to Mars, you could impatiently jump off and do something that you not truly wanted to be committed to. Um, Gemini rules contracts. So anybody who's dealing with any profession that requires you to sign contract, hold off on that this in January in general, but honestly for the next couple of months because eclipses take a long time to play out. So you don't want to sign a contract around these times and basically get yourself in a position where you're trying to release certain things and go forward, but instead you've trapped yourself in an old cycle of karma because you've signed yourself up for a situation that you didn't really want to be committed to, or something that you're going to get bored of eventually. So be careful with that. Um, with a square to Mars and Pisces, we need to trust our intuition. We need to make our intuition our bottom line when it comes to the way that we communicate with people and whether we sign contracts or not, and whether we leave our local area or not. And 9 times out of 10, with it being in a hard aspect to Mars and it being in Pisces, which is a sign famous for self undoing and self-limiting behavior that's based off of emotional inconsistency or unhealed wounds, you really want to be careful about any final decisions about leaving your local area, traveling off on new journeys with Sagittarius, because Sagittarius can be foolhardy. Now, I know foolishness is not something that's traditionally this traditionally associated with Sagittarius, but hear me out because Sagittarius has the tendency to not learn from their lessons. Sagittarius has the tendency to go overboard and to do things that don't last for very long. They believe certain things and they go off on a tangent, and then suddenly when Saturn comes in and reaps the harvest of what the decision making process has brought them, a lot of Sagittarius are going to be asked out because they jumped into situations before they were ready. Um, Sagittarius and Gemini deal with big picture, little picture, small details and fine print versus the big vision and what could be achieved. So be very careful, like I said, with signing contracts that don't necessarily support your long term future, because Sagittarius has a tendency to get caught up in the potentials or possibilities and jump ship and do crazy things that don't serve them in the long run. Now, yes, they bounce back because they're still able to be fortunate and they're still able to travel and they're still able to do this and do that. But you want to establish a long term foundation, and that leads into this eclipse being opposite Saturn and Pluto. So with these energies, this eclipse is pushing us, and also Moon is being squared to Saturn as well. So we're being pushed to make long-term decisions that are going to positively affect our future. Yes, we are being pushed out of our comfort zone, and we are being pushed to make certain leaps of faith, because this is what this is about, and letting go of certain patterns when it comes to the way we how we handle the mercurial energy. We still need to be very careful and very grounded, because the lunar eclipse, excuse me, the solar eclipse was conjunct Saturn, and the lunar eclipse is opposite Saturn. So Saturn's energy is playing a very strong role in this situation, and it's pushing us to make decisions that are going to support us in the long run. So with Saturn and Sagittarius, you need to make decisions right now with this eclipse energy that's going to push you towards living out your higher dreams and goals. Trusting in your own prophecy, your own beliefs, your own visions for what your future should be like. Focusing on travel and spirituality and spiritual events, and being grounded in those things, so that we can move forward and make positive decisions. Now, on a personal note for myself, I know that there will be a lot of opportunities coming forward to align myself with certain entities or energies, via contracts or things of that nature. But I'm at a place mentally and emotionally where I realize that that's not for me. I realize that that's not where I really need to go, and that's not really what I need to do. I need to focus on building myself in independence, and that's what Saturn conjunct Pluto is all about. If you focus on codependency, if you allow this eclipse energy to get you caught up in relying on other people or old habits of telling yourself that you can't do anything, going forward, this energy is going to kick your ass, because the next year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, it's going to be a constant reminder of how you limited your own potential, own possibilities, because you relied on somebody else. So don't be that person who's going to get caught up in those negative energetic character traits or negative energetic systems, based off of your willingness to just say, oh, well, this person will do it for me. Or, oh, well, this person has my best interest. Or, oh, well, I won't look at the details because those don't matter right now. This is not the time for that. And because Mars in Pisces, we can feel like right now we can feel very drained, especially because this eclipse energy is so intense, and it's with all of this powerful Pluto stuff. And it's in the sign of Sagittarius. It's really forcing us to tap into that inner wisdom and inner guidance, and that doesn't always feel good. Sagittarius comes before the sign of Ophiuchus. So it's dealing Ophiuchus dealing with those wounds and those things that need to be healed, and those things that make us sick. Sagittarius is trying to get us to learn how to learn the knowledge that we need in order to be able to heal ourselves and stabilize ourselves, so that when the Capricorn season comes in, we're able to build harvest based off of the wisdom and knowledge that we've gained. So don't get it twisted. We're still not out the waters yet. Saturn and Sagittarius is a very intense time. And if you do the work now, then when Saturn goes into Capricorn, you will see your abundance come in. You will see your situation stabilize. You will see things work out well for you. You will see things prevent. You will see yourself in happy places where you're not constantly scrambling. But if you turn to codependency with this Pluto energy being involved, we're really having to look at how we emotionally connect to other people and how we communicate with other people, and how those patterns influence the decisions and beliefs we have about ourselves. Don't allow other people to talk to you crazy. Don't allow other people to lie to you. Mars in Pisces is very deceptive. It's a warrior energy that goes about doing things on a spiritual level or a behind the scenes level to get what it wants. So be careful of spell work. Be careful of people making promises that seem too good. Be careful of people coming out of the water, people from the past, people who you kind of need to let go of and detach, and your intuition has told you that already, but you still may be connected to them. Also, Mercury is being thrown up in this energy as well. So it's doubling down on that energy, and we need to make sure that, if I'm not mistaken, Mercury is opposite this moon as well in Gemini. So that's really powerful in the sense that we're gonna have to learn to ground our emotional nature and make grounded decisions about how we're going to what we believe about ourselves and about our self worth as well. So depending on what house this in, it can affect you in many different ways. And if you're looking to get those, you can get a natal reading from me if you want to have that type of conversation about specifically about how this eclipse energy is going to affect you. Or even if you have your natal chart already, then you could research that information yourself. For me, this is a first house, seventh house thing. So the solar eclipse was in my first house, the lunar eclipse was in my seventh house. So to me, this tells me that new beginnings are coming my way, but first I have to let go of old communication patterns and relationships and old relationships in general. So I'm staying wise to the energy, and I'm definitely trying to focus on releasing certain people from my life and certain toxic patterns, negative energy and things like that, and not getting myself too hyped up for these new things that's coming. A lot of you guys have been feeling really anxious, really over the top, really scared, feeling like something crazy is going to happen, feeling really drained, feeling like your addictions are getting worse. This is a season, and I say it's going to be most intense January. I say February, March. By then, a lot of this energy will have calmed down and we will be in a more grounded and stable space. So that's why I say hold off on making any final decisions about contracts, especially with all this Saturn Pluto energy being in here. There may be some deception with this type of things. People who are trying to control you, manipulate you, people who've been planning these type of things, people who are communicating with other third parties in the situation, trying to get the situation to manifest in a certain way. A lot of manipulative energy going on right now, a lot of deceptive energy, a lot of violence and aggressions. Good night. A lot of aggression, a lot of deceptive energy, a lot of spiritual energy. So just tune in to your ancestors and your guides. Tune into your own Ori, tune into your orishas, whatever you need to do to get yourself energetically prepared. I say more so right now, everyone just kind of needs to chill and let these new beginnings manifest in their lives based off of their own hard work and independence. Don't get caught up in patterns where you're dependent on other people, because I promise you that's going to backfire in the long run. Outside, unless you have really long lasting stable relationships, all these new people coming into your life are trying to manifest. Go ahead and let those people out, and those people, even the old people in your life who have never treated you right with any love, respect, or anything else, let those people go too, because you have a greater purpose. So everybody just handle this eclipse energy well. Don't get too invested in anything. Don't get overboard. Don't let Sagittarius negative aspect of over expansion or overindulgence get the best of you. I know it's hard right now. um and just play it cool. So I'll see you guys later. Make sure you like, subscribe.